My name is Kristi Kempton, and I'm a registered nurse by background. And I've been a nurse since 1980. Do I have to tell my age? No. I'm 58 years old.
My name is Bob Ransom. I'm 64 years old.
Well, my name is Heather Dempsey, and I'm 78 years old. And I'm a registered nurse and a mother of 3 sons.
My name is Shawntay Rose Dann. I am 18 years old. When I was 4, I was in a car accident, so it kind of started from there. My sister passed away in that car accident, so grief counseling came to be a part of my life. And then as I got older, I became very sad, and no one understood why, and my mother always thought it was for attention, and just different levels of sadness. There was just the plain crying, and then there was the wishing I wasn't here. And as I got older, it became more of a, we need to take you to a doctor. So I had psychiatrists, psychologists, social workers, youth workers, and eventually we found out that I was depressed. We found out that I was also bipolar and I had ADHD. So depression, bipolar, and ADHD were all 3 mixed together, and that caused me to go see more therapists and more psychologists and being on more drugs.
I grew up in foster homes starting when I was 9 till 17. In these foster homes, I was abused physically, sexually. I was raped, and, and emotionally and psychological abuse. And I spent 29 years in the forces. I had gone through 2 addiction rehab sessions. I got married in '72, and I married an extremely strong woman because she put up with me while I was still a practicing alcoholic. And I did some time in the psych ward instead of going out.
After the birth of my daughter, I had a chronic illness myself, and that led to me being diagnosed with depression. So I've lived with that for a lot of my adult life. But I'm also a living example of the fact that I can work. I'm a professional, I work. It has not limited my ability to do that. So, and I've talked to a number of staff that have struggled with mental health issues themselves and actually have struggled with talking about it. And we're mental health professionals. So I've often shared my story with them to say, look, you too can get there. So
I got married after training, a year after training, and I had 3 sons. And my middle son, my second son that I had I knew something was wrong with him. Had him at the Children's Hospital to a neurologist, and they kept on saying, there's nothing wrong with him. He started to have severe epileptic seizures, and sometimes he would have 20 to 30 seizures a day. And it was a living HELL, I can now tell you, for that child and for the family. It was extremely difficult. I used to wonder why I was being punished by having a son that I couldn't help. I was very disappointed in myself. In those days, people did not talk about mental illness. They did not talk about, mentally delayed. So they didn't talk about that, but I did. And I tried to get many services, but there weren't any services. I tried to get things going, but I couldn't get anything off of the ground.
it's interesting because a few years ago when I worked at the Nova Scotia Hospital, people would say to me, well, where do you work? And I'd say, I work at the NS. And then they'd go.
Even until now, a lot of it is you're doing it for attention, or you can't have that. Or when you try to explain that it's hereditary and that it runs in genetics, no, it doesn't. Yeah, and it's like, no, it doesn't. Yeah, it does.
My mental illness does not make me who I am.
Yeah, I correct people on a regular basis when they come, say schizophrenic, and I say, no, the person has been diagnosed with schizophrenia.
Yes.
They're not schizophrenic.
Even in the 80s and 90s, mental health really wasn't talked about. I went to the psych ward and I came back to the mess. And people would say, don't mess with him because he's crazy. But now I see posters around in the gym making mental health in the Navy everybody's concern, not just the professionals. So in mental health, we are making great strides.
Yeah, I think so.
That's one thing that we need is consideration and understanding and caring and the actual want to know what's going on in our heads. Because sometimes we can't even explain and we can't even understand. But you trying to understand makes it a little bit better. And that's a big step with us even talking.
I'm not a counselor, so that's all I can do is listen.
It's that human connection.
It is, it is.
And we all are connected.
And sometimes just that one person who says, I am here and I may not understand right now, but you can help me understand, may be the person that saves your life.
Very few people, although I should say that I don't work in the medical end of the system, but I don't think many people with diabetes get admitted to hospital anymore. They're treated in the community. So wouldn't that be nice if we could get to that point?
I think too much emphasis is put on mental illness, and I think people should feel more comfortable about talking about it, being open, and being understanding and being caring, and most of all, showing love and consideration for no matter what kind of illness it is.
Don't worry about me, I'll be just fine. I know you're gone but not for long, you'll be back someday, I know that for sure. But if you never stop smiling, I'll never stop